And create a new Xcode project.
Sir.
And single view app. Call it a menu app. And click next. And then click create. Here's a tutorial that we'll follow through.
How's it going, guys? It's Gary. Today I have another.
Stop it, Gary.
His name Gary?
Yeah.
Come on. I did not
His
expect
last name is Tofman.
Oh dear. Tokrat.
Tofman.
Swift tip for you, and it's on how to implement a drop-down menu within your application. So if we take a look at the simulator here, when I select this button, we get a drop-down menu with a bunch of options. And when I select it again, they disappear. And to achieve this, we're going to be using stack views, and I'm going to show you how powerful they are and how little code that we're going to have to write, because the stack view handles a lot of this for us. So let's not waste any more time, let's jump into the code. Alright guys, so I'm going to be building a single view application, so I'm going to call next, and I'm going to call this dropdown. Alright guys, and what you're going to want to do is open up the storyboard, and we're going to drag out a button, and if you hold down option and select the button, just pull down.
So this is just going to be a menu? Menu app?
Menu. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, the option button.
Really serious. Why didn't we know about this before?
So much easier. Wow, Professor Hayes. Now we get to do all that hard work, even though we could have just held the option button.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty.
Well, at least we got the game a little bit closer. What accent was that?
Allows you to copy it, so we're just going to do that a bunch of times. And this button up here is going to be our primary.
So he's got 5 buttons.
Oh, what?
Button that we're going to be selecting to start this drop-down menu. So we're going to say select a city.
Oh my gosh, my hands are cold.
Select a city.
Okay, so we need all
5
buttons.
5.
Then for the titles for these buttons, we're just going to add city names.
Jeez, that's fast.
Alright, so now if we just select our buttons by clicking.
Okay, so I got the
I think
buttons.
Boston.
I forgot how you spell Angeles.
So it's Angel? Yes.
And then Los Angeles.
So it's select the city.
Yes.
Boston.
New York City, Sacramento.
I'm just putting random things.
There you go.
Chicago.
Portland.
Portland. That's the last place I would think.
Sacramento.
Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. Is West Newbury too?
Command button and clicking on all of our buttons, we can come down here and tap the stack view button.
So I'm holding down my, I think you said command.
Oh, I just clicked stack view.
And once you got those selected, then this button down here says embed and stack.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's referring to.
And this puts all of our buttons inside a stack view. Now we have to add some constraints.
So the
How did you select it? It's control.
Right here.
command, and then you select all of them, then click that button. Now the constraint button is right down here. You bring that up. That's where you can change constraints.
Oh gosh, here we go. Oh.
So we can click the pin menu, and we can say 0 to the top, 0 to the leading, 0 to trailing. Going to click add 3 constraints.
Wow. That's so fast. Okay,
So
constraint button.
chose a constraint. You put 0 here,
0, top, left, and right.
0 here, 0 here, and then click the add the 3 constraints.
Okay.
So now there's distance to 0 there, 0 here, 0 here. So just
For the bottom one, do we do anything?
no.
So it's also 0.
No.
Now you leave it whatever it was.
Mine's 433.
Mine was 434, it doesn't matter.
So just click add 3 constraints.
Yeah.
Cool. Damn. Weird.
So one thing that we're going to want to do if we open up this, we can select all of our buttons again. And we're going to add a height constraint to all of them. So if we click this,
So over here in the view controller scene, if you expand the stack view, you can select all of these. I'm holding down my shift key to select all those.
Where's Detroit? Why is it in a separate stack view?
new constraint, pinwheel, and we'll say height, and we'll just change this to 50.
So we click our constraint down here again and change our height to 50. And then add the 5 constraints, and that'll change it to height to 50.
Mine was at 10 constraints.
Really?
It's still good.
Mine's not as wide as your guys' is. Mine's like, okay, mine's like yours.
Mine's
Wait, mine's
decent.
like his. Yeah, mine's like that.
Yeah. It's whatever.
So now they're a lot larger. So what we're going to want to do is add just a little bit of styling to these. We're going to select the first button, and we're going to up the font size. Say 17,
38.
or say 16. And we'll change this to bold.
Okay. What?
Choose this one. 16 and bold.
Oh,
Bald.
Good question.
the world may never know.
I thought he said 7.
There, click the little T.
The T?
Yeah, the T to this.
Oh.
And then you can choose a style, choose it to bold.
Gotcha. Yeah. Got it.
And we'll change the text color to white. And now we're going to change the background color.
Would that be the shadow?
And for this, we're going to use a hexadecimal.
Okay, excuse me.
Okay, so change this here to a text color of white. Then for the background, let's see how he brought that up.
And for this,
For the background, you just click it, and that'll bring up your selection over here.
Where is it? Oh, it's up. Scroll down, Jesse.
Yeah, scroll down.
And then
What is it? What is the color?
we're going to use a hexadecimal. And it's right here if you want to copy this, or just change it to whatever color you want. Now we just have to do the same thing.
Change it to whatever color you want.
yes,
Blackish,
I'm doing a purple.
something that's not white. Anyway,
What about black?
Yeah.
For the rest of these.
They do the same thing.
So now we
Oh,
can see
different
that all
Yeah. So you select those. You can hold down your Shift key, and then change the. Let's see, I think you change the text color. Change it to white. The background color. There.
Got it.
Wonder why mine's going all the way across. His isn't.
I think it looks better like that.
I think it does. That's his doesn't look very good. I think he probably does it at some point.
It looks like
Maybe he's using a different version of Xcode. I don't know.
buttons are in the stack view, but they're not actually being laid out across. It's because we have to add a few more constraints onto all of these. So if we select them, we can come down to this pinwheel, and we can just pin these 0 to leading, 0 to trailing. Click enter.
it was. I need that. Mine's not across.
That'd be, oh, I did not want to mess this up.
If you have those selected, if you choose your constraints down here, what he's talking about is this. You see this between these boxes.
Yeah.
You can click that, and then that'll pull it out to the side.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't. Well, it did, but it didn't. There's a lot there. Thank you. Yeah, I know. No, the constraints are always stupid.
I do that on purpose. JC as colors. Rocky Denver. Okay, so I'm gonna click this. I have switched to watch.
So did the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was switched to watch that.
So that's actually the first game that they lost this season.
This is yours. 3-point lead.
Now
Good
the constraints are
Good
like,
old like cheats.
now.
Don't say that in front of Eric.
Yeah, he gets the trigger.
Oh, seriously, so many constraints now, but none of them are working.
Call of Duty Black Ops League. They go taco review.
It's a taco. Sitting. Oh, I want to do this as online. That's like, hey, let's take an interview. I'm sorry.
They go talk these reviews. Because of the Spider-Man game, they were upset because like, it was so bad. Only because it was on Xbox One.
No, the game was great.
But we're giving it a 1-star rating because
Yeah, think about the PC players.
Oh, wait, here it is. See everything. How would you do that?
Let's continue on and then I'll look at it later.
Do anything. I can't do anything else.
What do you have to explain?
Oh.
Wrong.
So the last thing that we're going to want to do is click our editor, and if we click Option Command, our editor shows up here, and we're
I'd rather just click on the editor button at the top right. What's the editor button?
What is that?
Okay, so we got our code up.
Oh, there you go. Why do you call it the editor? That's what it's called. Is it really? Yeah. That's what
going to do a few things. First, if we select the Select a City button, we're going to come down here, and we're going to create an action. And we're just going to call this Handle Selection.
Wait, do you click control?
Then we're gonna call it.
Connection.
Okay, so drag it in there. It's an action.
No celebration.
And we're
Just call it city. So, what does that say?
Handle selection.
What does it say? Handle selection.
change this to a UI button.
So change it to user interface button. And we'll click the connect.
Or would it be like, he's like, oh wait, before you click connect.
And click connect. Then the rest of these, what we're gonna do is add a outlet collection. So if we
Come on,
control drag, and we're gonna just say city buttons.
So outlet collection, that's new.
Please leave me and my son alone.
Let's see, where did you drop that at? Under class UI V controller.
And we're gonna change this to an outlet collection.
This is new.
And then call this city buttons.
Wait, is it more than, did you have to highlight all of them or just
Just
Boston?
Boston.
Just
And click connect.
I think it might have crashed. Hello. I think it crashed.
And we're gonna just say city buttons. And we're gonna change this to an outlet collection and click connect. Then for the rest of our cities, we're just gonna control drag and add them to our outlet collection. So they're all in there.
So we're doing a clicking.
Should we call them?
You have to restart and start over.
It's
Then.
like I can change everything about it, but the connect is like gone now.
I'll just have to click it after we get done here.
So we call these all city buttons?
Well, you're holding down the control and dragging and dropping it in that same place.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to watch.
Yeah, I'll put the video out there. And
Come on, sir. Let's just have more fun, please.
Okay.
And we just have to add one more action. So we're just gonna select Boston now. And below our handle selection, we're gonna say city tapped.
Okay. Grab Boston,
The common.
drop it down here. And it's going to be city tap. Tap.
And
City.
this is gonna be the action. So when they select one of these cities below or in our drop-down menu, we're gonna handle it inside of this function.
So an action UI button.
Arguments is a sender.
And we're gonna click connect. And again,
Yes.
for the rest of these, we're gonna drag them over and add them to this IB action.
So you're dragging them into the same place.
All right. I'm just gonna close out. It's being buggy. Oh, apparently.
So the last thing that we have to do here is if we close our assistant editor by clicking Command and Enter,
Or we just click the line.
Well,
See, a lot of people don't like to keep clicking up here at the mouse. They love the keystrokes because then they can do almost 100% of it from the
Yeah.
keyboard.
we can zoom in here, and we just have to hide all of these buttons. So if we select all of them again, and we tap Hidden,
Okay, so you select those four. And hide those.
for the rest of this, we're just going to be going into our view controller. So we can select our view controller.swift file.
So we're going to look at our view controller.swift. You have to do your left panel.
And we're going to be doing the rest of our work in here. So I'm just going to add a space here to clean it up. And we're going to come down to handle selection. Then inside of here, what we want to do,
So we're down here in the handle selection.
is, so we just set all the buttons to hidden. So now we have to do the opposite of that. So we have to show the buttons. So what we can do is say buttons, or city buttons, and we'll use the for each function. This allows us to enumerate over every single button.
So city buttons.
Dot for each.
For each. And in a curly bracket, button in.
And inside of here, all we're gonna do is say button dot is hidden is equal to the opposite of what it is. So say button dot is hidden. Now,
Button dot is equals.
Button in.
exclamation point.
Actually build and run in our simulator, and the simulator just loaded. So if I just tap select a city,
Okay. So if I run that,
Can you show me how to hide the buttons again?
You show me how to quit Xcode.
you select them, and then there's a hidden option over here.
I'm having error. Oh, I mean, hold on. I think I got it.
Got it?
I think.
Then if you click that, it just does opposite.
You did your code real quick?
Mm-hmm. Did you find the hidden?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright. Now it's right.
Okay.
No, I didn't do it.
Clear yourself.
It's like code's wrong for some reason.
Everything's wrong.
Oh.
Different.
Hidden. Oh yeah, I did that same thing.
Look at it.
Force quit. Xcode. Force quit. Thank you. It finally gave me the force quit thing.
see our city show up. And what we can do now is we can add actually an animation inside of here to make it a little bit more fluid. So we can say UI view, just select animate with duration, and we can do 0.3, and then tap enter. Then
Okay, yeah, that is a corrupt project. I am going to delete that.
So UI view animate. With duration 0.3.
here we're just going to move this button is hidden.
And animations. We have.
Okay, my memory's pretty good, but I don't think I'll remember all this. I need to fix it.
Let's see, animations, beginning curly bracket. Our code.
Where we're setting it to the opposite of itself. And now our application has
And move this up there. Oops. I think I'm in Windows.
built. If we select it, we can see that it works and it's a little bit more fluid.
So we did a UI view animate with the duration, and then the animations is based upon the buttons changing there.
That's pretty cool. JC's code is all pro. That's pretty awesome. So does the 0.3 determines how long it is?
Yes.
So if you did like a 1 second.
That'd be really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that goes pretty slow then.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, and that's it's whatever you put inside here. So it's just not specific to a button. So
You can see when we select it for the first time, the animation actually comes up from the top of our button, of our select city button, and it kind of looks weird. So we can fix this really quick. And if I actually click Command T, you can see this in slow motion. So our animation starts to come back in, but when it starts, you can see that it comes from the top of the button. So what we can actually do to fix this is just call one method on our view, and we'll do self.view.layout if needed.
self.view.layout if needed. Self.view.layout if needed.
Oh, there
So now if we build and run, and we select our city again, we can see that the animation works perfectly. And if we click
underneath cord, it's super long with things down.
Okay.
Ours.
Mine's a bit weird. It doesn't go.
Did you put the animation in there yet?
Yeah.
UI view with duration 0.3 animation.
Yes.
Oh, this isn't.
Let me look at it, see if I miss out.
Hopefully everything's like Jason.
Yeah. Everything's fine. Everything's just the same. It's being weird.
I don't know then.
Command T, we can actually see that it comes down from the bottom. Alright, so the last thing I want to show you guys is how to handle touch events for these buttons in the drop-down menu. So you can remember that we created this IB action called City Tapped. And inside of here, what we can say is guard let title, and we can set this to the sender dot current title, and this will give us
Under city tapped. Guard lit title equals
Sender dot
current title.
current title for the button tapped. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to switch on this current title. And if we don't,
Else
have a current title, we can just return. And to do that, we can actually create an enum.
so put a return there.
Right up above here, and we can say enum cities, and it can be of type string.
Okay, so come here. Enum city cities string.
That's weird.
Then we can add a bunch of cases for our cities. So we'll just add one for Boston. So, but you'll get the idea with this just one case. So we'll say Boston, and you have to give it a default value because inside our button title, we actually named it with a capital B, but we're following Swift convention, and we're going to name our case with lowercase b. So we'll say Boston. And we'll actually,
Okay.
I couldn't even get like to the second step without my thing breaking, so you're farther than I am.
So case Boston,
Okay.
and it's gonna be equals Boston.
add one more. So we'll say case San Francisco. For all
I don't remember mine either. I don't remember San Francisco though. I guess I added Los Angeles.
Gosh dang it, what was it? What was it called?
Case. I'm assuming no spaces. Yeah. Los Angeles equals. I don't know, what did I spell it?
Yeah.
Equals.
cases, you just add them here for
I
all
think
your
I just do two.
titles. And what we can do
This is an
after
example.
this is say, so once we have a title, what we can do is say let city equal, and we'll call our city's enum. And we can call the initializer on it, which expects a raw value.
Ouch.
So down here after current title, put a comma, let city equals cities raw value.
Is this not confusing to you? That's the case.
I don't think I can remember it. That's why I'm going off the video.
Uh,
I mean, I can create the
And we can-
menus easily, but the code behind this is
That's in our title.
it's a colon title.
Now-
Title.
you can't spell nutrition, right?
We have to do is below, just add a switch statement and switch on the city.
Okay. So switch on the city. Yeah, brace.
And for the case Boston, we can just
In case dot Boston colon
print Boston, and we can
so print Print Boston.
Add a default case, just print San Fran. But you can keep adding cases inside of the switch statement.
San Fran.
Default. And San Francisco.
So now if we build and run the application, you'll see that when we select Boston or San Francisco, that this method will fire. All right, so now if I select a city and I select Boston, you can see Boston prints inside of my console here. And if I select San Francisco, it's gonna print. If I select these ones, we didn't implement them. So this guard statement's actually going to fail. Whatever but your button titles are, you can just add them to this enum, then after just switch on their cases. And awesome, guys, just like that, we
Just like that.
Just like that, guys. Just a short 3 steps, not much at all. You guys help me.
Okay. So click Boston. I don't have my.
I'm not sure one city.
See, here's your console down here.
Taking this class really makes you appreciate the little things in apps.
Then just choosing that, since I don't have Los Angeles there, just prints the default. This is also how you can help figure out what a value is equal to. We haven't really got into some real difficult coding, but if you had some real difficult and you couldn't figure out what the values were, you could print them here.
Still want to know what's going on.
I want to know why mine failed. Like, it just crashed and didn't let me quit it. I couldn't quit the application.
I don't know.
And then it forced quit.
it's a drop-down menu with only, I'd say, less than 20 lines of code. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, be sure to
I'm going to put this YouTube video out, and the assignment is to create a separate menu. So create a new application and create like food items. And if you couldn't get the first one to work, then just have the video up and running at the same time you're doing that, and just have go step by step.
Okay. So just food.
Food, yeah.
We don't have to transition into anything.
Nope, just do a print at this point.
Alright.
Well, we're still working on transitions. We'll build upon this.
Okay, so we don't have to, we just have the menu and it lists the food item. We don't have to have it go to a,
Don't have to do anything right now besides print.
same way you did, except change the names.
Well, I didn't know if we wanted us to copy it just like that, or just have food.
Well, not change the current one. Create a new project.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like, the
same
design
code.
Of it, basically.
Same design.
Okay.
Do you still want, like, how many items do you want? 4?
I don't know. Do 6. Yeah.
I literally had all but one thing pop up. Oh my, it said,
So we need 6 buttons.
6, yeah.
Oh wait, 7?
7, yeah. Because if you have your top one,
Yeah, and
Pick-
6
yeah.
food.